guest presenter. Ria, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, sir. Can
Yes,
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Let me introduce Ria. Ria is one of the bright children I found from Isha Vidya Matriculation School during one of my air science workshops that we do for children. And she's from Nahakoil, grade 9. And her presentation is on Mission Life. Mission Life. Okay, I know Mission Impossible. Let's see what is Mission Life. Yes, Ria, to present on the topic Mission Life. Let's start, Ria.
Sir, can I record?
Yes, please. I'll allow you to record. Wait, where are you? Yeah. Okay, you can record.
Okay, sir. Let me
Hey.
share my screen.
Yes.
Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes.
Okay, namaskaram everyone. My name is S.J. Ria. I am from Isha Vidya School, Nagarkoil, and I am studying grade 9. And today's topic is about Mission Life. Why I gave the topic Mission Life? It is the life of living being as well as human being. That's why we are living here. It is the story of our life in past. It is the story of non-living to living. It is the story of ourselves. We all must know about it. This is the story from space to earth and from universe to living being. So let us begin. Why I took this topic? I also having many doubts about life. How it is suitable for us? What is the basic of growth of a living being? We all know that water is the basic component in growth of a living being. So how the water exists here? Water is H2O, 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. But hydrogen exists everywhere on space as a molecule. But it needs 1 oxygen to become water. Hydrogen is everywhere. But compared to it, oxygen is basic of life. So where did the water came from? And where did the oxygen came from? And who is our pioneer in living? So hope you also have the same doubts. It's my doubt also. I have been searched for it and find out. Now we will go through it. We will learn it. It's my mission to teach you all. So before that, a question for you, but no need to answer. From hen egg came or from egg hen came? Have you heard this question? Don't need to answer for me now. Answer me when I ask, okay? So you will think it is unusual and not related to our topic, but it is later. How you see? So now let us move on to the topic. From blue-green algae, oxygen is formed, many of the theories are telling. Then only life started. But have you think how an algae will form without presence of water? Have anyone think this? As you all know, water also consists of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So without oxygen, how water formed? Is it matching to the question I asked you before? Likewise, oxygen came or water came after oxygen came. This is what we are going to find. So at first, there is a theory The Earth already have water when rocks formed. But due to sun and lack of atmosphere, the water have been evaporated back to the space. Water molecules were presented in a dusty cloud, and when it collided with our Earth got water. The dusty cloud was formed when our solar system begins. Earth got some water from those dusty cloud. So then hundred of million years later, the first atmosphere formed due to the process called outgassing. This happened when molten rocks in the Earth's core release volcanic gases, creating a layer for trapping water molecules from evaporating. This was how the first atmosphere created on Earth. But at that time, our atmosphere was very poisonous and different from how it was today. Then, after a long time, ice-bearing comets, asteroids, and meteorites started falling on Earth, which later melted and formed water sources on Earth. This is how water came to Earth without presence of oxygen on Earth. And there may be a small amount of oxygen which created water and ices on space. So I have a video.
Yeah, is there any audio running in the background? I can't hear audio. I need to share audio.
Sir?
Yeah, is there any video running in the background of the video you are sharing? I think. Yeah, you're muted. Wait, let me unmute you first. Yeah, don't mute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Sir, it's the audio from the video only.
Okay, we can't hear the audio from the video.
Oh, okay, sir. 1 minute.
You need to share it again. Click share, share live sound. Share. There's a when you click the share, you will have an option. No issue. You can just play the video and explain in the background what's happening.
Liquid water is almost impossible
Yes.
to find.
Can you hear?
So how
Yes,
did
yes,
our
yes.
planet?
Yes.
It has no taste, color, or smell, and we often look right through it. It covers over 70% of the Earth, cycling from the oceans and rivers to the clouds and back again. It even makes up about 60% of our bodies. With all this water around and inside us, it's easy to take its presence for granted. But in the rest of the solar system, liquid water is almost impossible to find. So how did our planet end up with so much of this substance, and where did it come from? As you probably know, a water molecule consists of two basic parts. Hydrogen, the simplest of all elements, has been around since close to the beginning of our universe. Oxygen entered the scene several 100 million years later, after stars began to form. The massive pressure at the center of these fiery infernos was so great that hydrogen atoms fused together to form helium. Helium, in turn, fused to form heavier elements like beryllium, carbon, and oxygen in a process known as nucleosynthesis. When stars eventually collapsed and exploded into supernovas, these new elements were spread across the universe and combined into new compounds, like the now familiar H2O. These water molecules were present in the dusty cloud that formed our solar system, and more collided with our planet after its formation. But there's a big question that we don't have the answer to. How much water arrived on Earth? And when? If, as one theory goes, relatively small amounts of water were present on Earth when the rock formed, the high temperatures and lack of any surrounding atmosphere would have caused it to evaporate back into space. Water would have been unable to remain on the planet until hundreds of millions of years later, when our first atmosphere formed through a process called outgassing. This occurred when molten rock in the Earth's core released volcanic gases to the surface, creating a layer that could then trap escaping water. So how then did water get back to the planet? Scientists have long suspected that much of it was brought by ice-bearing comets, or more likely, asteroids that bombarded the Earth over millions of years. Recent research has challenged this theory. In examining carbonaceous chondrite meteorites that formed shortly after the birth of our solar system, scientists have found that not only did they contain water, but their mineral chemical composition matched rocks on Earth and samples from an asteroid that formed at the same time as our planet. This suggests that the Earth may have accumulated a substantial amount of water early on that was able to stay put despite the lack of an atmosphere, though asteroids may have brought more over the eons. If this turns out to be true, life may have formed much earlier than previously thought. So we do not yet definitively know whether the water on Earth came from its initial formation, later impacts, or some combination of the two. Regardless, the water that runs from our showers, drinking fountains, and faucets is something that didn't just come from a nearby lake or river, but first underwent a cosmic and chaotic.
That's all, sir.
Nice, nice.
1 minute.
It has
So then only tiny organisms known as cyanobacteria or blue-green algae started forming on the rocks in the water sources. They use sunshine, water, and carbon dioxide to perform photosynthesis and produce oxygen about 3.5 billion years ago. And do you know where did the half of Earth's oxygen comes from? The majority in production of oxygen is from oceanic plankton drifting plants, algae, and some bacteria that photosynthesis like cyanobacteria. Scientists estimate that 50 to 80% of oxygen production on Earth comes from ocean. And when did cyanobacteria produce oxygen? The ability to generate oxygen via photosynthesis likely first appeared in the ancestors of cyanobacteria. These organisms evolved at least 2.45 to 2.35 billion years ago, and probably as early as 2.7 billion ago or earlier. And these are some images, oxygen from algae. And this image is from my home. I did this experiment and I experienced this, and these small bubbles or oxygen bubbles, these were created by the cyanobacteria due to photosynthesis. When this bubble came to the surface of the water, it blast and oxygen came out to the atmosphere. So again, another one video. This is what I take from my home. No sound.
Wow. We actually did produce oxygen in house. And people are struggling for oxygen because they don't know how to do it. So see, audience, so we have a scientist who produced oxygen house with the help of nature. She just showing it to us. So it's there everywhere around us. So we don't have to how to continue.
And this is our evaluation video. At this stage only birds came like hen and other birds. So now you will find out what came first. Don't need to say it, say your answer in quiz. So, do you know space and water are similar because both have less oxygen where we cannot breathe. After oxygen formed on the ground, animals slowly came outside from water and practiced to live on land permanently. But some animals don't evolve that much and live in water itself. That are fishes, and they evolved from small microorganisms into intelligent humans. And algae, and on other side, algae evolved to giant plants, trees, and forests.
$4.5 billion years ago,
This is the video how oxygen formed on Earth.
Earth
Okay. Nice.
Okay, questions time.
Question time. So we already have a lot of audience raise their hands. And do you have any quiz, Ria?
Yeah, sir, I have.
Well, quiz time, you can post the link so that meanwhile the students join, you can answer the questions.
Okay, sir. 1 minute.
Yeah. Harjin, I have unmuted. You can unmute yourself, ask your question.
I did not raise hand. By mistake I raised it.
Okay. So we have Anish Noel. Anish Noel, unmute yourself. You can speak to Ria.
I just wanted to tell something. On the on my last week presentation, I mentioned the comet Elf-Pizarro. So after the presentation, on Monday, I just went to search. I just went to get some information. So
Yeah. You can speak to her. I'll connect with you, Anish.
Yes. So I was just searching on the net about Count Pizarro, and I just found out that it was theoretically proved that it had water. It had icy composition. So it was theoretically proved that it had water. So there was a theory that one piece of the comet fell into the earth and created water.
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of theories. So may possibly.
Yeah.
So you can connect with Ria offline. I will ask Ria to coordinate. Yes. So the quiz link is shared in the YouTube live as well. Also shared here. Ria, you can share the link. Share the quiz screen. Oh, you are muted. Don't mute yourself. Okay, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, sir. 1 minute.
Okay. We have a question from Avinash. Yes, Avinash, you can unmute and ask a question. Okay, Vignesh, you can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, you told that the oxygen can be formed using which formula? Can you tell me? I have currently 2 doubts. How does oxygen can be formed by which formula?
Plants produce oxygen by using photosynthesis. Like that, the blue-green algae, I mean cyanobacteria also produce that way, I think so.
And I have a doubt. How you can see the sea is equal to space? In space, we are having so many asteroids and heavenly bodies. But then there is just fish. No.
Yeah. I just come back to tell that both places have a small amount of oxygen. Other than that, both are completely different.
I think we are 18 people join. You can start. Yes, Vignesh. So did your doubts got clear? So you muted yourself. Avinash, you can ask your doubt.
Yeah, so I actually left out in the middle because I had some work.
Okay.
I had to wash some dishes. So could you please update me? That is from like you were telling some.
Basically, the entire session is about the evolution of humans, evolution of life, evolution of oxygen, all these things. Anyway, it's there in the live as well, so you don't have to feel missed out. So, yes. Okay, I think Ria, we have almost 18 students in the.
Sir, Sanjay joined twice.
So start.
Once down.
Start. Because he's restless because he's the next presenter. Ready? 3, 2, 1, ta-da! Full question view. Show the from hen came first or eggs came first. According to the presentation. 20 seconds. Yeah, you can cut the music in the background. It's like
Oh, sorry. Mute myself.
next leaderboard. Let's see who leads the Madhyesh. Harijit. Harijit. Okay, next question. 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! How Earth is suitable for us? Let's see the options. Oxygen, sunlight, water, all of the above. How Earth is suitable for us? Thirteen seconds. 12, 11, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up.
This Harijit is not answering.
Harijit? Sorry. It's okay. What's anyway, timer, we can't help it. Naman is
Yeah.
leading the board now. Next question. What is the basic growth of a living being? Full question view. Hydrogen, oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. None of the above. Think gada gada, boys and girls. Gada gada answer. Let's jump to next question.
And remember that hydrogen and oxygen join means water. Don't forget that.
What is the basic of growth of a living being? Next.
Oh, the road that rolls it.
That's Rakshan side. He's a big fan of dinosaurs, so he always keeps his name. War that rolls at. Next question. From where did water came to Earth? That's a hypothetical question. Ice-bearing asteroids, dusty cloud, rain, meteorite. What this is, I don't know, because all answers seems correct only.
Yeah, think the percentage, think the presentation and answer.
Okay. So if you have focused on Riya's presentation, you can be able to answer first question. Answer. Next question, please.
Fraction is leading.
Okay, because Rakshan is a big fan of this evolutions. From where did the oxygen came to Earth? This was again a hypothetical question. Blue-green algae, cyanobacteria. Atmosphere from space, helium. I think this is very straightforward answer. You can tell. 3 participants raised their hands. Vignesh, Sanjay, Avinash. After the quiz, guys. From where did okay. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Next question. Leaderboard. The rower that rules it all is ruling the board with 1,000 extra points.
14 people answered rightly.
யார் இது தப்பா ஆன்சர் பண்ணிதாவோ அது வந்து பிரச்சனை. Because that is a very straightforward question. Who is our first living pioneer? Apes, Homo erectus, blue-green algae, oxygen.
Remember, first, not other thing. First.
Okay, first. So she is giving clues as well. Time's up. Neither do. For the roots at all. Exactly 1,000 points ahead of Rahamai. Okay, we got the correct answer. The blue-green algae.
Yeah.
The next question. How many percentage of oxygen production on Earth comes from ocean? She particularly mentioned this in the presentation. I think if we have focused on her presentation, you would be able to answer this question. 50 to 80% of, 40 to 90% of, 10 to 50% of, or 50 to 100% of. Let's see. In 10 seconds, we will know the answer. No, in 1 second. So, over the rules at all. So, getting it right is now 1020 points.
Answer correctly.
Okay. My next question. 3, 2, 1. What does cyanobacteria use to photosynthesis? Use for photosynthesis. Sunlight, water, oxygen. Option 1 and 2 only. Sunlight, water, oxygen. Only sunlight or only water. So every time they are raising hands. Who are these two people? Sanjay and Avinash. Okay. Time's up. Let's see what is the correct answer. I misclicked. Namana. Okay, fine. 7,500 rows the tools. The answer is option 1 and 2 only. Sunlight and water. Well done. Next, the 9th question. 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! What is the pioneer of plant? Who is the father of a plant or mummy of a plant? What will you say? Algae, small plant, ocean plant, seed. All answers seem to be right only. See, from seed only the plant will grow up. And also I think algae is also one plant. Small plant, ocean plant. Small plants only will become big plants. With water, we can find a lot of plants. So, let's see what is the answer. Now, roar that roots is all again. Now, 1,360 points ahead. Algae.
Algae.
Algae. Algae are the pioneers of plants. Fine. Next question. And the last question of Ria's presentation. What do you learn from my presentation? Good question. Origin of life on Earth. Formation of water and oxygen on Earth. Evolution of algae to human being. Evolution of algae to plants. All answers seems to be right. Which one should I choose now?
Yeah, sir, all are correct. This question is to
it's
know.
Like a bonus question.
Yeah, sir, this question is to know what the audience learned. All are right.
Okay. Okay, this is like a bonus question for you children. So you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
So see, everything seems blue. Well done. And none of them chose evolution of algae to plants. Why done? Why children? Fine. Well done. Well done, Riya. It's like a big yarn of history of earth and life. History of everything. Well done. Nice. So, children, you have any work? Okay, need to see the leaderboard. So, just 500 points lesser than 10,000. That's our roar that rules it all. Click the next question. Yes. And the leaderboard is loading. So today, I think second time he is leading the board. Roar that rules it all. எப்போ கம்பெனி ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணானோ அப்பல இருந்து இப்படி ஆயிட்டான் ஸ்மார்ட்டியா. Next two. The first roar that roots it all, that is our Rakshan Sai, then Naman Naitak Sahu. I did not see one more name. What is it? Just that is Ragamai. Ragamai. Okay.
And I want to tell one thing. This is just for fun. The all person who participated in this are also a winner, so don't worry. And sir, I have one more slide more. Can I show it?
Yes, please. Because two more participants are waiting to present. We have Sanjay and Matish.
So this is that slide.
Okay. That's a beautiful blue.
And thank you for Almighty and everyone who gave me this opportunity, especially Vaayusastra team and my Isha school team, and encouragement of my parents and all the audience, young researchers and Jaggu sir who watched my presentation till end. Hope now you all understand that how valuable we are and who we are. My mission is make you understand how valuable, how important we are and how life form on earth. Hope you all understood that we were part of universe. All the parts make a universe. Someone says we cannot pluck a flower without disturbing the universe. That level we are connected and oneness. To be continued.
Well done, Ria. Let's give a huge round of applause for Ria. That's her first live presentation in our Young Research Crew Future Scientist Meet, Chapter 8. Thank you, Ria, for the beautiful presentation.